Hi everyone, my name is Mila. My story is called My Mother Wanted to Sell My Kidney, and I'll tell you that the story, in general, has caused me a lot of trouble. It all led to my panic attacks, and it's no freaking joke, I'll tell you that. Have you ever dealt with panic attacks? Who knows what it is, knows what I mean? Give me a plus sign in the comments if you've had one. And those who haven't, I can only envy you. Anyway, my mom's always been a bit of a strange woman. All her life, she wanted to do some kind of business. Been looking for her own business for as long as I can remember. So she once ran an at-home beauty salon. First, she did nails, then she became a hairdresser. After she almost cut off a client's finger and nearly burned all her hair with dye, she gave it up. Then her hobby went to another level. She began buying street food at wholesale prices and selling it at a slightly higher price. But she did not take into account the fact that there was a shelf life and certain conditions of food storage are needed. Anyway, one of her customers was poisoned one day. Yep, and that customer was me. Fortunately, we always had money. My father used to make good money, and he opened several accounts a couple of decades ahead. Despite his early death, we managed to earn money for my future, which I was glad about. My mother was unable to do anything after my father died, until her friends encouraged her to start her own business. So she began to look for herself. She even studied psychology, but it didn't help much. All her sessions ended in tears. Her tears, and the client went home with round eyes. Then my mother decided to start breeding purebred dogs. She found a female and a male. There was some creepy mix of royal breeds. Of all the puppies, only one survived, Chappie. I took him for myself, convincing my mom not to sell him. Chappie is an incredible dog. He's smart, disciplined, and understands everything. We got him trained to do some shopping. He knows his place, helps passers-by cross the road, and he also has super prizes at all the shows. I adored him from the first minute. So breeding dogs was left behind. Chappie became my friend, and more to come. And my mom continued to find herself in her 43 years of age. One day, we were watching the news about transplant crimes. Someone was selling kidneys on the black market, voluntarily to get an endless amount of money for it. Wow! Tell me about it. That's awful. That's not what I meant. Imagine how much money that is. Apparently, that kind of business can't go under. What do you mean? Well, it's not dogs or manicures or even selling food. It's selling organs. Well, why wouldn't it be sold if a person goes into it voluntarily? I mean, there's another side to this, saving someone's life. With a smuggled kidney, who cares? The person will live, and the other person will be left with the money. Mom, don't tell me you're seriously considering this. Mom was staring at one point and not saying anything, and I knew the look on her face meant she had an idea, and that was not a good sign. Mom then got up from the couch. Where are you going? I need to consult with a friend. Aunt Nada? Mom, she's not your advisor. She's a housewife just like you. Only she's smarter. Her husband's a businessman, and she can also give you seed money for a business. What kind of business? I have an idea. By the way, how's Chappie doing? Why don't you take him for a walk? Okay. So I took the dog for a walk. Then I went home. Mom was still in her room. I quietly opened her door and heard her talking to a friend. She was talking very quietly. Do you think it's worth it? How much did you say? It's so much money, but I understand, yes, but how will my daughter live without it? I quietly whispered to myself. What? Live without what? Yes, but still, it will be hard for her. Mila's already a weak girl. She can't withstand such a life. Is she going to sell my kidney? Why my kidney? Well, yes, I've already heard the price. I'll try to get Mila ready. I'll call you back. Bye. I quickly closed the door and ran into the living room. Mom came out smiling. Have you gone for a walk yet? How was it? Fine. And you? What are you doing? Just talking on the phone. With Aunt Nada? Yeah. So, did she have anything good to say? Yes, there's an option. Which one? It's, never mind. Tell me, how are you feeling? I'm fine. Why do you want to know? You've been pale lately. Any pain? Stomach? Head? Kidneys? Kidneys? Why are you asking about my kidneys? Just to be on the safe side. I'm gonna go. Where are you going? To meet Tony? Yep. And when are you going to introduce me to your boyfriend? Holy shit, she wants to sell his kidney too? I thought to myself, and left without saying anything. I told Tony about everything that night. He didn't believe me at first. He thought I was exaggerating. Then he suggested we go for a walk to clear my head. It was a good idea, but then, all of a sudden, I felt bad. I think my nerves gave me a tummy ache. Tony is a panicky person in that regard, so he immediately took me to the hospital and called my mom. She came almost immediately. My mom started running around, asking doctors if I was okay. I asked Tony to follow her, and he overheard my mom carefully asking about the condition of my kidneys. The doctor said that if nothing was bothering me, there was no need to get tested, to which my mother replied that since we were in the hospital, she demanded that I have an ultrasound and take some tests. She even voiced which tests herself. Tony came back to me and told me everything.
Awesome. Now I believe you. She was kind of weird about asking a lot about your kidneys.
I told you, she can't let me get tested. Tony promised me he'd spend the night with me, but his dad called him. He'd fell off the roof of the house. Luckily, he only sprained a leg, but I couldn't keep my boyfriend by my side. Then I was alone in the room. My mom kind of left too, and I wanted to go to sleep, but someone then came into the room. It was my mother. I pretended to be asleep. She stroked my head, and then her hand went down to my kidneys.
I hope they're healthy for you.
Her words made me feel uncomfortable. I could no longer pretend, and my mother noticed I wasn't asleep.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't want to wake you up.
It's okay.
Listen, let's go to the ultrasound. Now the night shift is here. There's almost no line. And if you're awake...
What's the rush? It can wait till morning.
It doesn't matter if it's in the morning or now. Now will be faster.
Well, okay, fine. I had an ultrasound, and my mom breathed a sigh of relief. After the report, she went into the hallway. She'd gotten a phone call.
Yeah, she's fine. No, I haven't talked to her yet. I'll wait to tell her then. I can't just sell it. I have to at least talk to her. It's hers after all. Okay, I'll call you back. Bye.
I got it. As soon as I took the last test, I'd be screwed. At night, I waited until my mom went to sleep, and I quietly walked out of the room, got dressed, and got ready to run. My doctor stopped me in the corridor.
Wait, where are you going?
I have to go.
No, you can't. You have to take one last test. Your mother said so.
No, doctor, I can't, okay? I have to get out of here as fast as I can. I can't take the test.
Why not?
It's a long explanation. Just help me escape. Daughter, there you are. I've been looking all over for you. Is something wrong?
Stay away from me.
I yelled at the whole hospital and woke people up. Doctors and patients began to gather around. I was crying and I was scared.
Why are you shouting like that? I know everything. I heard everything. You want to sell my kidneys. Did you hear everything? If so, yes. I'm sorry. I wanted to ask you, but how could you do that? I'm sorry, but it's good, very good money. Doctor, why are you standing there? Call the police. Hurry up. Why the police? So they can take her away? My mother wants to sell her daughter's kidney. Is that normal? A kidney? A kidney? What's going on here? I'm going to call the police.
We were both taken to the office of the department head. The doc was angry, and he demanded an explanation.
What does this have to do with your kidney? I was talking about Chappie.
Chappie? Did you want to sell my dog?
Yeah, he's worth a lot of money right now. It's a mix. They offered me good money. What did you say about your kidneys? Why would you even say that?
I told her everything I suspected.
Mom and the doctor laughed for a long time. Good thing it was a mistake.
Hello, everyone. My name is Eliza. I had a difficult period in my life, even the most difficult. Of course, it's a little easier now, but what I went through almost made me give up. I will tell you everything now in more detail. And you, please, like the video, write your opinion in the comments, and do not forget to subscribe to the channel. I'm in high school. I'm 15 years old, and I've never been an ardent party girl. Yes, I was the most ordinary girl who studied, helped my mother with chores around the house. My mother had a second marriage. That is, I lived with my stepfather. They had twins, and my mother had absolutely no time for me. On the one hand, I understood that I was an adult, and I needed to support my mother. It is more difficult for her, but on the other, I still felt the need for her presence in my life. But ever since she got pregnant, there has been less and less of her. The only thing left for me is to move on, go to school, and help around the house. Well, then some kind of nightmare began. When the babies were born, it was great, of course. We were all happy, but most of all, I was worried about my mother. When they were discharged from the hospital, something started at home. There was a round-the-clock yell. It was impossible to sleep or do homework in the house because the girls were constantly yelling. Then one, then another. I had no idea how to help her. And on the other hand, I just wanted silence. Once, when my father left for work, my mother asked me to stay and help her with the little ones. I couldn't because I had an important exam waiting for me at school. I couldn't miss it. All of a sudden, she started yelling at me a lot. She called me a shitty daughter, and I was offended by her. What right did she have to call me that? Out of anger, I said a lot of unnecessary things to her. I probably shouldn't have said it, but I couldn't help myself. I shouted that it wasn't my fault that she had remarried and had to give birth. My mother felt like cold water had been thrown over her. She stood up straight and left. Full of anger, I slammed the door and ran to school. By the way, yes, that day I successfully failed the exam, and this made me even more angry. I've never been so angry before. Anyway, just in time for me to step out into the hallway after the exam, Cal came up to me. This is a guy from another group. He has been hitting on me for a long time, but I did not return his love. He invited me to a party in honor of the fact that his parents went on vacation and left him alone in their big house. I decided to accept the invitation and went with him as agreed. I was very drunk that night, and I think I was taken with a first glass of champagne. I felt so bad that I couldn't control myself anymore. All I remember is Cal pouring me another glass of champagne or wine and then inviting me into his bedroom. I didn't even say anything. I just went with him, and I don't remember much about what happened there. When I woke up the next morning, I felt like my whole body was hurting, including my head. Cal started to say something to me, but I put my hand over his mouth. I didn't want to hear it. I got dressed and left. I heard a lot more from my mother, and our relationship heated up. But the problems didn't end there. After a week, I noticed something. I had delayed menstruation. I bought a pregnancy test, and yes, it's like I've won the fucking jackpot. I got pregnant. All I felt at that moment was regret and confusion. I felt sorry for myself, and also terribly afraid. I now did not know what to do and how to be. I definitely didn't want to tell Cal about it, and I planned not to tell anyone yet. My mother knocked sharply on the bathroom door, and I ran out of it like I was scolded. I ran into my room and remembered that I had left the test in the bathroom. A second later, my mother ran out of there shouting, "Are you pregnant?" I didn't have time to come up with an excuse, so I just said yes. She asked who the father was, and I said I didn't know, or rather I didn't remember. She almost had a heart attack. No, I wasn't hoping for anything, and I hadn't even decided what to do about keeping the baby or not, but my mother's behavior made me give up. And I suddenly wanted to give birth to her for evil. She went and wailed every day, slowly dripping on my nerves. She demanded that I have an abortion. I said I was going to give birth. To be honest, I didn't expect such a reaction, but she collected all my things and put them out the door. I couldn't believe she'd done that. Well, how can you kick out your pregnant daughter? I felt a sense of despair and resentment, and all I wanted to do was cry. I cried a lot and every day. It's a good thing my girlfriend took me in. Natalie was kind, and she lived alone with her parents. Nat understood my situation and promised to help me in any way she could. I don't know how long I lay and cried. Apparently it was influenced by hormones. It's been a week, and I haven't heard from my mother. Of course, this upset me even more. My stepfather didn't care about me. I didn't need anyone but myself and my girlfriend. As soon as I thought about it, someone came to the door. Imagine, it was my stepfather. He brought me money, food, and clothes. It turns out that Natalie told him where I was, and he decided to help a little. I didn't expect it. When I asked where my mom was, he said she was home with the girls, apologized for her, and said she was having a hard time, so she was taking it out on me. I asked him to tell her that I was not a scapegoat, and that if it was so difficult for her to think about me, then let her not strain herself. Apparently, she had no place left for me in her life. My stepfather must have felt it too, so it was like he was apologizing. I accepted his help, and then he left. I gave the whole amount to Natalie for my living expenses. We held out for another month, but I needed care, a doctor and all that, and I didn't even know where to go. I was so scared. I was getting even more depressed when someone knocked on our door again. I thought it was my stepfather again, but Cal was standing outside the door. He threw himself on me, kissed me, hugged me, and swore that he would love our child more than anyone else. I couldn't believe it. I thought he was kidding, but it turns out I was wrong about him. Cal hugged me and asked me why I didn't say anything, why I didn't tell him, and all I said was, "Are you sure the baby's yours?" To which he replied that he did not doubt it for a second, and he was right. Cal talked to his parents, and they took me home with them. He had a great family, they accepted me, and Cal started working for his father and earning money. I took a sabbatical from school to calmly go through the pregnancy and give birth. In general, wish me good luck, because in a couple of months, we will see our baby.